Hello, my name is Brikki. I am an autistic witch. On my channel, I'll be releasing videos about my interests, mainly mental health, the paranormal and heathenry. When I was 12, I killed myself. Not in body, but in mind. I was born in the springtime of 1995. I have memories of being a baby in my bright pink room, being tucked in with my rainbow blanket in my crib. We lived in the country close to a village of 1,000. My mum tells me a fascinating tale that happened around this time. This is something that I don't remember. I was laying in my crib, alone in my bright pink room, and my mum was downstairs. My mum had the baby monitor going, so she could hear if I called for her. As she was going about her day, doing her chores and taking care of my sisters, she starts to hear singing coming from the baby monitor. A woman was singing to me, and I sounded happy. Alarmed, my mum raced up the stairs to find no one was there, but me, baby Brikki, smiling in my crib. Fast forward 2 years, my parents are divorced, and we are living in an apartment building in the nearest city to where the house with my pink room was. I am in my pajamas, flapping my arms, which earned me the nickname of Birdie, which my mum and my aunt, a perceptive witch, still call me to this day. I would jump off the couch and say, "Mommy, look, I'm a bird," while flapping my wings, adopting the moniker enthusiastically. I always envied birds from a young age. They seem so free and peaceful, flying above the noise and the fast-paced hustle and bustle of the environment below. I wanted to live in the peaceful sky with them, floating in the air, soaring. I had an hourglass filled with pink sand. I would tilt it and loved to watch the sand slowly drop down to the bottom half. I watched the movie Dumbo on repeat. I loved the phrase, "I'm a-gonna wash Dolores, she's a-gonna look glorious." It made me laugh. These were the days of Christmas parades and yearly National Pride fireworks celebrations. Unlike other kids, I hated these events. Sirens, noise, lights, cold, colours, people, thunderous booms in the sky. They terrified me. I felt the vibrations in my stomach. My mum would console me, and I persevered through the uncomfortable experiences. My sisters and family enjoyed these events, and I had to be there for them with them. They were special. My sisters, twins, 1 year older than me. They were troublemakers, but I loved them. We were in their room. They were jumping off of their bed and onto me, my stomach. I was laughing. The sensation was confusing. Then a few minutes later, I started to cry. I couldn't make sense of all this sensory input. It tickled, and then it hurt. We moved again to a beautiful duplex on a beautiful road by the river in the city. We were lucky, we were poor, receiving donations to have a Christmas dinner that year. I was not in school yet, but my sisters were. I can remember the layout of the house. I remember the old school phone on the wall, the front room, living room, and 2 bedrooms. Me and my oldest sister slept in the front room. Or at least we were supposed to. I always slept with my mum in her room. I was scared otherwise, and she had this giant silky green blanket that I loved the feeling of. I slept with my mother until I was around 8. But I read at an advanced level and spoke almost like an adult. I had a great interest in history, psychology, and the paranormal. I spent most of my time at the adults' table during family events and never looked forward to the noise that other kids would make. These feelings continued all my childhood. I disliked being around other children and found people in general to be illogical and careless. I loved animals and the natural world. My cat taught me to look both ways 4 times before crossing the road. When I was in grade 2, I would ask my mum to go to bed around 7. I would shut myself in my room and watch the sunset, swirls of purple and orange in the sky. It was in this house that I would hear whistling, an ominous tone, when there was no explanation for it. One of the twins saw the spirit of an indigenous woman float into their room and pat the head of the other while she slept. Our father is an Algonquin man, our mother a German woman. My toys would routinely be found under my bed, torn to shreds. Though I blamed this one on my cat, even though he had never done this before, and I occasionally felt poking from under my mattress. I was afraid to take baths alone, and I only learned to tie my shoes in grade 3. I didn't like the idea of change. As I grew older, I continued to do great in school. I never had homework. I was always quiet in class, so teachers liked me. My interest deepened, my emotions intensified. I became a strict environmental advocate, not letting any of my friends or family litter. I would carry their garbage instead of them littering on walks. In fact, to this day, I have never littered. I can still have intense emotional reactions to other people disrespecting nature. Fairy stories were a big draw of mine when growing up. I loved the show Toy Castle, and anything with princesses, knights, and dragons. King Arthur was my new favourite movie. The animated one, of course. Medieval times were a passion of mine. Then, when I was in 4th grade, I saw The Lord of the Rings. Cue a lifelong obsession with fantasy, and specifically the works of Tolkien and the historical connections to the Saxons, Britons and the Norse. Magic, fantasy, nature, history, and the supernatural. It had it all. I would collect every Lord of the Rings merch I could collect. By grade 7, I was watching The Lord of the Rings every day, the extended versions with the behind-the-scenes footage. I carried the Lord of the Rings book with me everywhere I went. Normal conversations and rom-coms that I was forced to watch with my sisters bored me. Then, something happened. I decided that I wanted to be more like my sisters. I wanted to be less weird. I didn't want to continue being the outcast in school. Until now, I had pushed others away because I found them too silly or loud. I think at this point, I just wanted a friend. I buried my eccentricities. I didn't let myself express myself truly. I ignored the fatigue I felt from socializing. I pretended I didn't care as much about my nerdy interests. I stopped mentioning the beauty I saw in the world around me, in the small things that surround each and every one of us. I tried to be what I saw around me. I tried to be normal. And so, when I was 12, I killed off my most fundamental characteristics and buried them deep down. By the time I was grown up, I almost forgot who I was, what I liked, and what I disliked. That was until one day, the person who knows me best said, "Brikki, I think you might be autistic." I was shocked. I couldn't understand. Then they recounted my childhood, my likes, disliked, personality, and extreme introversion, or what I thought was introversion. It turned out they were right. And now I am on a journey of self-rediscovery. Simultaneously, I am exploring my ancestry, heathenry, and shamanic spirituality. I am diving deep into my interests and finding more pleasure in everyday life. I am Brikki, and I am an autistic witch.